start melting at some point.
Probably.
All right, so if I hit go live, okay, and I just want to see what it's going. Hopefully that shows. Not then. Fuckity fuck. Okay.
Nothing happening?
On the stream, all it shows is. Fuck.
It says live. I see us.
Oh, you see us like me and you on there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I didn't realize. Okay, yeah. So I guess we can chat for a little bit, but yeah, fuck. I should
There you
stop
go.
swearing so much though.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of forgot that we're currently live, and that'll be interesting. I didn't mean to go live just yet, but you know what? We got time. We might as well start chatting a little bit.
Right.
Ugh,
Well,
this is so weird and
there
crazy.
you go. And it's like I think it's like a maybe 5 second delay. So
Oh,
even though I muted the what do you call it? Oh my god, the browser window.
oh yeah.
But
Kind
I just killed it because I'm like I can't. Do, do, do. Well, I don't think my toe is ever gonna heal at the rate that it continues to be wounded. This is ridiculous.
of shit, really?
Oh yeah, I was
Oh,
getting dressed, yeah, this morning or yesterday morning, and of course, it kicked right through the leg of the shorts and just ripped back again. I was like, oh my god, I want to pass out, and undid all the Dermabond and all that jazz. And then tonight we were hanging out, and the dog, she came and just plopped down on top of me. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna punch you in the spine. Get off of
oh.
my foot. This is crazy.
It's just me in the stream right now. I was just checking. I was
Oh,
checking. I was like, okay, I want to see what it looks like because I have never done this, so I'm kind of like,
oh,
yeah.
yeah. See, I'm telling you, this is good.
Yeah, we had
This
one
is
view. And
this is good.
yeah.
I'll get in there. Now we have two people. One
Ooh.
watching now.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's all good. Tomorrow is tattoo day.
Ooh. What are you getting?
Yeah. So I have a picture of Mara or Morena, the Slavic goddess of death,
Yeah.
and so they're gonna do. It's longer than a quarter sleeve now, but they're gonna bring it all the way up, and I'll send it to you in the Discord. It's her face, and it's just all this iconic Slavic paganism, and a little hint of what may or may not could be misconstrued as Russian mafia. But it's part of the drawing, and it's like
You don't mean it to be
I,
Russian mafia. It just kind of is.
no, and I'm like I know what some of that is used for, so it's always like, she's got like a couple of daggers through her what's the English, the gorla, the throat,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah, it's got like this matroshka that's like looks like a little skull face, and it's just I'll send you the picture. I've been looking for something to cover up the stupid Lance Mountain Doughboy I've had in my body for 30 years, and I finally was like, I try not to swear, forget it. I'll spend the quick grand or whatever it's gonna be and just get it done. So, and my
Cool.
wife's doing it'd be multi-sitting though. The guy already said that. But and then my wife, she's getting a tattoo done. I think she's getting it's the Banksy little girl
Yeah.
with the balloon going up. It's a heart. She's getting that done because she's got like, hey, her whole body is essentially tattooed out. So she's filling in the spaces now, and a lot of her themes are like hearts because of our son, and so so
Yeah.
that's she's putting that. I was like, oh, it's a cool drawing. That's awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
No, your wifey's completely tatted. Oh,
yeah,
look,
she's got.
hey, we got someone in the chat. Hey, Troggy.
Oh, nice.
Good to
Yeah,
see you.
she's got one sleeved up, like kind of broken sleeve, her her thighs, and then down her legs, and then on her back. I'm trying to think of where else she has tattoos. Yeah, I see her all the time. But yeah, yeah. And my daughter's the same way, you know. Well, my wife, she'll when she goes places, she'll usually wear jackets or whatnot because she gets cold, and so you don't really think much because you see like just a housefrau, and then there's this little peak of tattoo sticking out just like underneath the wolf's joint, and it's like, oh, that looks like a tattoo or something hanging there. And it's like, yeah, if you saw it, it's a whole thing.
Oh shit! It's gonna be
Yeah.
one thing I'm gonna find
Yeah,
super
yeah.
weird is the fact that I gotta talk to you like this, but I see you right here.
I know. Do you want me to face the camera? Because the camera's off to the side.
I don't know. I wonder if I can.
Is it rude? Because it looks like he's like, oh, what is he looking at? Like I'm reading my manuscript because I don't know what I wrote. No, for real, that happens. We can talk about that. It's a weird phenomenon. I'm not really sure. And I thought I was the only one, and then talking to other designers, and they're like, oh, no, it happens all the time.
Oh no, I can. I got it. I got it. I can do it. So it's like this.
What are you doing? Wait, what are you doing?
No,
Are you
nothing.
gonna mirror us?
No, no.
Oh.
I don't got that skill.
Oh, I should mirror my camera. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know if I can. Nope, I'm not gonna mess with anything. But yeah, so it should be an interesting day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd like to let the office know that I have a thing, and then I come home and I gotta run the Dragonlance Savage World Dragonlance game, and I'll let you guys get going. I'm in a
I'm gonna get killed.
much. You're not gonna get killed. It's just I wanted to make this. You've been building to this moment, right? Well, your character's a newbie, but everyone's been building this moment where like this is the first real instance of there's going to be this confirmation that the world is changing, and you know that's what this is about. I'm like, oh, we're facing, like I wanted it to feel like they've had little bouts here and there of danger, but then like what happened last week, you know, the goblins were very organized. You know, they managed to loop around you, and they were coming at you or your character specifically in different directions, and they were using tactics. And then you guys got down in the hole, and you realized, like, oh no, there's a lot more. There's a lot more moving in the world right now. So.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We we have total control over this situation.
Yeah. Eventually, you guys will learn to stop just walking around dungeons and adventure sites.
I'm kind of playing my guy a little bit too true to what I think he would do, and I think that's my issue right now. Where I'm just like, it's just like, he's like, what would he do? Well, he sees the big baddie, and I had a whole plan, and it was just because of that freaking attack of opportunity. I forget what it's called in Savage.
Reach.
Yeah, with the reach.
Yeah.
And I had a whole plan, and
Yeah.
I was going to completely obliterate him in one turn. I had a plan, and then what happened? No, fucking reach.
Yeah, man. That reach. That tree is a size 8 creature. You know, it's just massive, and you know, you guys are facing your equals for the most part in this one. You know, there's only a handful of them, but the big question, because you had to sign off real early, almost immediately, but the question the group had brought up, and it was the guy playing the Knight of Solamnia, because I was like, well, you're puppet powered, but I didn't get a chance to control you, and you know, the big thing was like, well, but he has no loyalty to the group because he's new to us, and we attacked him, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to discuss on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, damn, they're right.
Yeah, no, that was good. Wednesday, that was because I remember I was kind of feeling like shit that day.
Bro, yeah, I think everyone was having a rough day of it.
Oh, mine was just because of Monday when I was in the emergency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the drugs were just like, now I'm kind of getting used to them, but like, oh fuck, they were not fun.
Oof.
Yeah.
There you go, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I texted the office on Friday afternoon, I was like, what if I told you I was going to the emergency room because I do everything barefoot, and sometimes you F around and find out. And I F'd around and found out because that's where I'm going right now, the emergency room.
See, what you need to do is invest in a good pair of Crocs.
No, this
seriously.
is Croc Band Crocs. I don't like shoes. That's my problem. I run barefoot. I work out barefoot. I mow the grass barefoot. And the military just cringes. They're just like, why are you like this? Like, I don't know. I don't like fucking shoes. I can't. They're gross.
So wanted to just because I know we got some time. What time? Yeah, we got 10
Yeah,
minutes. I wanted to
yeah.
show you
Yeah, 10
these
minutes.
cards. Mostly the face cards, just because I want to show you how they look. I think they're my new favorite cards.
Are these Kickstarter or
No, 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 no. I just kind of bought these at my local shop.
Oh,
I got 3 jacks just out of luck and 1 queen. But okay, I'll show you first the first queen.
interesting. All right. Oh, it's no, no, no. Oh, okay.
Okay, that's the first
Yeah.
one. Just wait, just wait.
Okay.
Look at that's the Jack of Hearts.
Okay. Nice.
The color scheme on
Yeah, it's
all of them
nice.
are like kind of muted,
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like
and
just a
oh, come on,
oh, that's cool. No,
yeah.
I got it. It's super legible. Like even playing them, I can see how this would pop at the table.
Oh, and
So,
the cards slide. Like I mean, like I've been shuffling just for fun.
what is that? The airfoil or whatever it's called.
Um,
I think that's what it's called, right? The airfoil by bicycle.
yeah.
When
These ones are
they're real slippery.
these are called yeah, they're really slippery, but even like the writing on it, it's just so simplistic. But like, come on, look, like that 6 right there. I don't know if you could see
Oh
it,
no.
but if
Hold
you
on.
look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
it, it's almost like it's like 4 different lines that all do the same kind of loop. And what is it? Troggy Trog says Scott equal TTRPG Cody London.
I've gotten better.
No, yes.
Oh man. Oh yeah, see, those are smooth. Those are really sharp lines. I like that because a lot of cards get real weird and they kind of have a lot of bleed to them, and it's just
Yeah.
an odd
Or
thing.
some of them, like I
Yeah.
find the color schemes just like because
Yeah.
I have another deck of cards right beside me, but I have one deck and it's actually one that you have that's kind of almost like that dead. It almost has kind of like a cult kind of dark theme to it, and they're really nice. But
Oh
the issue is that the the hearts and the clubs all look the same. So if you're trying to like the color detail is not that much
yeah.
different. So me as a person who
Yeah.
plays a shit ton of solitaire, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. There's every once in a while I'll see cards that I'm like, I love the face cards, but then they screw the pips and everything up, and I'm like, don't do that. Just
The worst
you
is
don't
when
gotta
they
go
have
crazy.
a beautiful deck and then you look at the face cards and you can tell they just tried to do it like way too artistic. And it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it when the faces like look too realistic, like it's something out of like an art piece. I don't like that. I like
Oh,
simplicity.
interesting.
I like simplicity. Now I'm not saying it needs to be exactly the same king queen, but remember that that deck I showed you not too long ago, that Kickstarter, where
Uh,
both of us were like
yeah.
beautiful deck, but the face and it's just because they tried to do it a little
Yeah.
too artsy.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Like a lot of the cards I use, I like custom faces to be themed to the deck because nothing will also kill me. Well, Freezing Savage Worlds, like I can't have a deck that's like oh super spooky like Call of Cthulhu and it's just like here's a king. I'm like no, come on, man, like make it fun. You know, make the Joker H.P. Lovecraft and make the other Joker, you know,
Yeah.
Clark or something. But yeah, I just backed like 3 more decks of cards. I gotta
Oh,
stop.
we got another user. Hello, whoever I can't see or I don't know how to see.
I don't know. I don't know either. You'll have to wait till they chat or be like, "Hey, bro." Yeah, but I did. Yeah, I gotta stop. I gotta stop with the cards. I can't though. I really have to stop with the cards because pretty
I
soon.
I just honestly like I shuffle. I bring them to work and I shuffle what I'm thinking.
That's cool.
I don't have like I just love using cards.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn like the shuffles magicians use,
Oh
just
god.
to run Savage Worlds at the table because that would be amazing, right? That'd be fun as
Oh, it would
hell,
be insane. One of
right? Here, initiative. Oh, is this your Ace of Spades?
my issue is I've tried to learn. My issue is, and I'm going to say this live on air. I have little hands. I got these little fucking
Ah.
hands, and I try and do these tricks with these decks, and I can't get my hand around properly. Like I can hold the
Oh.
hand like this, but like doing the crazy.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because like I have a hard time. I can grip the deck because I I have gigantic monster hands, and I have like freakishly long fingers, and so it's like sometimes it feels like I can't. It's too much finger work to be like, oh, the cards go everywhere.
Too much fingering.
But yeah, too much finger in the card.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that on YouTube.
We can say that as long as we don't actually imply anything, I think.
No, okay, I'm implying
We're talking about fingering with cards.
working.
Oh, are you still there, Scott? We might have lost you. We may have lost Scott, guys. We'll try and get him back ASAP.
Right. I'm right here.
Oh, yeah, but you're back.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
You still there? No, he's still not there. Uh-oh. This could be bad for the stream.
Discord just completely closed down on me. That was
Oh.
exciting. Yeah, it's good times, and it wouldn't reload. It just sat on its stupid Discord grin face.
Ah. Yeah, I was just kind of like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Well, anyway, I read the book.
Trugging.
Lame. It's
Saw
pretty
a video
stupid.
on the stream that other day. I think Camel Moon. Anyways, it was a short vid of a guy fanning a deck. Fanning, I'm assuming?
Oh.
Fanning a deck? Oh, hey, Finder's here.
Yeah. Oh shit, Rich is there. Yeah, I think I know the deck of cards he's talking about too, because there was this real there was a mushroomy theme or something that was kickstarted maybe last year. I don't know. Like I said, it's way too many cards. I gotta stop. Behold, those are all cards, like 2 rows all the way across.
It's so
just
addictive, though. I don't know what it is about
I
cards.
know. Well, I play Savage Worlds, so.
Yeah. Hell,
And then so I realized I was like, you theme the deck, and I'm like, oh, I have a problem now.
It's sad when you have a deck and you're also judging it based off of the actual just like deck sleeve. Have you done?
Oh yeah, sometimes, right?
It's just like, wow,
yeah, of
look
course.
at the construction of it. It's like a PVC. It's not even like a basic cardboard. I was like excited. And I said it to the wife, and she's just like,
That's nice. That's
she's like,
very exciting.
She's very, very nice. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's like, oh, it's just like when I talk about TTRPGs.
exactly. Or I'm sitting in the living room, and she's like, when she would this afternoon, I was just like, oh my god. She's like, what's happening? I was like, oh my god, I just learned Avada Kedavra. Ah! And then I just flew around the map in the immediate area, and I just challenged as many people just doing my witch's cockwalk as she was just like walking into groups of enemies, and they were talking shit, and I was like, that's right. Everyone in here's a dead man. You just don't know it yet. So yeah, I ordered the all the cards from ICRPG, and their deck box, the Tuck box, could not be the worst quality. It could not get any worse than
Really?
that. It is. Oh, dude, it came falling apart. Like the cards are fine, but the Tuck boxes are just. Ugh.
That's sad. I know. I was talking with. I'm good for Kickstarter. I find my comparison is you and Finder. So to be honest, I feel like I'm a fucking god when it comes to that. I really gotta stop swearing. We're on YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube.
We're gonna get demonetized.
Don't
We're gonna get kicked
demonetize
off.
me.
We're not even monetized. We're not even monetized. So swear all you want.
No, the last ones I got were the P52 Nazo playing cards, but I got 2 different
Oh.
decks. Those ones are pretty.
Oh, nice.
The Asian.
Yeah.
Asian cat style ones. I think.
Yeah. I remember that Kickstarter. Yeah. Well, that's the real hard part with cards too. Is if someone present like I just did this, I don't know, light dark deck, whatever the hell it is. But like if they present two different decks, but it's the same pictures but different styles of decks. Well, obviously I'm gonna get two decks because for Savage Worlds, while you're using one stays shuffled, and then when the other one draws a Joker, you get that one shuffled, and then you use the new deck. I have a problem.
Oh man. Oh, I know.
I have a
Every
problem.
time, like I got this one game shop by. It's not even near my house, but it's in Winnipeg. Toad Hall Toys. I will promote the shit out of this one. Anyone who's ever in the Manitoba area, and they just have a huge stack of cards. And I was talking with the owner about it, or one of the owners, and I was just like, oh, so like what? I'm looking for a new deck. Like, what are you looking for? He's like, oh, it's the other owner who actually knows everything about cards. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I actually asked him why do we stock cards? Like, they don't sell that much. And his response is, well, because I buy 3 decks, I put 2 in the case, and I pay for one myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right,
Nice.
all right.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, man.
Well,
Oh, it's 7 o'clock.
7
There it
o'clock.
is. 7 o'clock.
Well, shall we?
Come on, bro. Did you even live stream?
Do you even live stream? Yeah, bro. First time ever. What
Come on,
about it?
bro.
Well, anyways, shall we
Anyway.
shall we get started, or do you want to wait a little bit just to see?
No, we said 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm
If you want, you can put out one to your Kickstarter right now. Just like a note, just
What are
like,
you
hey, we're streaming
Oh.
now, and you can do the link.
uh,
Eh,
I did that.
oh, okay.
It's like you don't know me. Come on, man.
Sometimes I feel like I don't.
You're a stranger.
Sometimes like you're a stranger. We don't talk anymore.
Oh, we're gonna talk tomorrow night.
Oh, fuck. Anyways.
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna murder some wild cards tomorrow night. Anyway,
Yep. Well, hello, RP people, and welcome back to the very first live recording of Role Playing as Smart People. My name is Santa, in case nobody out there knows who I am, but considering we have 2 people in the thing, I'm pretty sure they both know us. I'd like to thank Scott for joining me today. And we are here to talk about his upcoming game, or his game that's currently on Kickstarter. So, hello, Scott.
hello. How are you? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Nice
Stranger.
seeing you. Stranger, never met, unbiased interview.
Unbiased interview. No,
Um,
it's going well. It's awesome.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So as I was saying, you currently have a Kickstarter called Black Sun Dawning. For anyone who may be listening to this in the future, he also has Task Force Raven, and yeah. All right. So before we, I know I'm right now a little bit thrown off. I'm like, it's
Remember,
live.
another
It's
thing.
live. I feel like
You're
the
fine.
remember the first like 5 episodes of the podcast when we were throwing that out there, and I was
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
so
It's good. It's good.
and it's so weird interviewing you. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Scott, and a little bit of your tabletop history?
Okay, so I am a 27-year active duty military member, which is always fun. It's always weird saying veteran owned because it's not really a veteran owned company. I'm active owned, but my wife is a vet, so I guess technically it counts. Serving in the Navy, and I have been gaming since 1982. And I started with the basics, and then I used to hate anything not D&D, and then I discovered there are other games that are in fact better than D&D. I will say it, and just kind of went from there. And then I always wanted to tinker with design. And when I was a kid, I basically did what a lot of OSR people do. I know I'm already starting off with the rough. Basically, the OSR people will take D&D and just reword it, and then add like one thing to it and be like, "Oh, I made a new game." And that's kind of what I did. I did that at 8, and it was like, I'm gonna call it skullduggery, and because I'm clever. And I had just watched the movie Skullduggery, and if you haven't seen it, it's a movie worth watching. And so that was it. And then I just kind of played and played and played. And I always was like most people, I tinkered with world design, tinker with character design and setting design. But it was a lot of it is usually like, well, let's play Savage Star Wars, let's play, I don't know, D&D Buck Rogers, things like that. And then I really wanted to write a game that was a fantasy oriented, kind of based on D20 rules, but I wanted certain parameters where magic mattered and combat was actually lethal, and what your choices mattered. So I kind of wanted Rollmaster in a D&D format to where the things you chose mattered for your character. And if you didn't choose them, that's no one's fault but yours. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did that. I wrote that document for about, I don't know, 6 years. And it just, like most people, is like, well, ugh. And then I watched the Eat Your Ashes video that I talk about. I was laying on the couch one morning at like 4:30, and I just saw the Up to My Knees channel had that video up, and I was like, what does Eat Your Ashes mean? And it just goes through. It's like, just do everything you can and put it out in the universe and create, and something is going to stick with you and go forward. And yeah, like I said, I turned that around. I got up, started writing, and by that afternoon, I had, almost a very rough alpha script, and then just it's gone off from there. And then I became an ace for Savage Worlds for Pinnacle on a premise that I haven't fulfilled yet. But you don't have to. I'm not committed to that. They just wanted to see that I knew what the hell I was talking about and how I can design, and that was it. And then I just started doing Savage World stuff.
Nice.
I felt long-winded, but yeah.
it was good. It was good. So now with your current Kickstarter, which congratulations on the fact that it already went through day 1 too, right?
Thank you. Yeah, within 5 hours it funded, which was a shocker because I was like, nobody wants to play science fiction, sci-fi, fantasy. Oh, apparently people want to play sci-fi, fantasy.
Yeah, apparently it's a lot popular. So, why don't you give us an overview of the setting?
Okay, so there are a group of wizards called Jedi. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God. Okay, taken down, copy straight. Disney.
No.
Oh, no, they're coming.
So Black Sun Dawning came up because I always had an issue with sci-fi as a genre, and I wasn't really sure why, because I'm like, I love Star Wars, and I love sci-fi movies and whatnot. And then I realized, like, well, let me try something new, because there's not, in Savage Worlds at least, there's not really a sci-fi fantasy setting in Savage Worlds. There are, like, most people will do like Star Wars does. Like, Star Wars is a space opera with some sci-fi fantasy elements to it, right? It just is. You have magic. But your magic is very limited, and it's mysterious, and it's only used by this group of people. And that is not what I wanted. I looked at Eberron as one of my favorite settings, and I was like, okay, well, what would Eberron look in space? But I don't want it to look medieval, because that's also not going to be a draw. So I wanted to build an amalgam of, what if the technology was built on magical principles, but it's still technology, and it's tech, but when you use it, it's still detectable with magical auras and essences. And there are, you saw some of the manuscript of how, especially how how weaponry works. There are times when, because you're dealing with forces of nature and supernature that you don't understand completely, the fantasy really sings in it, because with like the blasters, they're blaster pistols or rifles, but then if you roll a second raise, that becomes an elemental effect, essentially, is added to that blaster bolt. So not only are you putting a blaster bolt through someone, you might catch them on fire, or put a lightning shroud around them, or hit them with necrotizing bile and things like that, right? It's a random event where the universe uncorks itself and says, "Oh, I'm going to step in because you have basically 3D printed this tech, and you've messed with forces that you don't really comprehend." So that's Black Sun Dawn. And so I was like, okay, well, I got the idea of getting the technology and the magic together, and it's definitely pure, tech magic. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it's not Eberron, where there's no elemental ships or anything, but like there's enough to it where it's like, oh, I recognize this is science, this is space fantasy. And then I think from there, the next big step was making space travel fun and dangerous, and then making the ships just as amazing in the tech magic as anything else. Because, like I said, I didn't want Eberron, I didn't want Spelljammer, but I wanted that, like an amalgam of the two, and just kept going from there. And then, I didn't put it on Earth. It's set in a galaxy, who knows, far away.
Yeah.
And then it's ruled by an empire, but it's not an empire like you think. It's this group of humans. They vanished at one point, and when they came back with a vengeance, and they came back changed. They're essentially, the Revenants are essentially Dhampir, and so you've got this vampiric kin race who rules a goddamn empire with an iron fist, and they're not immune from the fact that they will just rain death upon you from their like tower ships
Mhm.
that hover in orbit over all the primary worlds. But that's really kind of Black Sun Dawning is. It gives you a very unique setting that blends magic and technology perfectly together. Well, not perfectly. I mean, you read more of the manuscript than any other human being has
Oh,
outside of
thank
people
you.
playtesting it. I got playtesters, and I've got other people who have seen the character side of it, but you've gotten the full
Well,
gamut.
the one thing that I was blown away with, and might be jumping the gun a little bit on here, is
No, go
sometimes
ahead.
when you get setting books and everything like that, you find that there's some edges, some hindrances that are kind of added in. But when I was looking at the list, you have a full blown new set of edges, a bunch of new hindrances. I was blown away with how much you've actually added into it. Was that
Hopefully it's not too much.
was that planned, or did it kind of just come in? And no, I think it's great. It's fantastic. But did
It's
you plan for that?
part of it is I don't plan for as many as I always do. Like Raven ended up with a lot, but I kind of knew I would need something special for Raven.
Hmm.
But with this, I was like, oh, okay. And once you get started, you're like, oh man, because you got to think like, okay, well, there's gonna be a character who all they want to do is be the ace, and they're gonna be an ace fighter pilot, and that's what they want to do. And so it's like, okay, well, they're gonna need more edges than just the stupid profession edge ace. So then you got to make some aces for someone who wants to fly, spaceships and do it well. And then I'm like, okay, well, then you're gonna have people who want to use magic, and like that was the magic ones were really fine tuned, and they're still getting fine tuned a few things because there's things cropping up. But yeah, I didn't plan all of those, but after I get going and I realize, well, here's the things that need to work, then it's just like, oh, I have no choice. I'm gonna have to put this in here. And the hard part is going back and being like, oh, like I've got a parkour edge,
Yeah.
but really, it's it's kind of same as another edge. And I've been asked that before about Raven. Is like, well, it reads kind of the same as like. There's no difference between this edge and the edge from the core book. I'm like,
Hmm.
mechanically, no. But that's my biggest irritant point is, okay, I don't give a damn about what you think mechanically the edges does. You're correct. But if one edge says parkour and one edge says, I don't know, walk on difficult terrain, those are two different things in my role playing mind because one, they clearly spell out the intent of the edge, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it matters to gamers because most people are going to look at the mechanics and not give a damn. But for me, I'm like, no, this is parkour. I clearly jump around and say, parkour as I go off of things.
Well, who doesn't say
So I don't
that?
know. Yeah, but
I have
yeah,
trouble not saying anytime I'm jumping over something hardcore parkour. It's just such an
yeah,
addictive
exactly,
thing to say. I don't. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, man.
So when I was when I was looking at the game, for one,
Mhm.
I started getting some hints of inspiration from different, I don't want to say settings, but almost like real world mythology. And I'm wondering if you actually did input any in before I make an ass of
Yep.
myself. I'm kind of wondering where
Nope.
you kind of grabbed it from.
Nope. 100%. So yeah, you're not wrong. Hear me ask you a question. I'm going to interview you now.
Yeah.
Can you give me one thing that kind of breeze of real world mythology, and I'll explain it, and I can explain everything.
Well, when I was, because I'm not, I was listening to it from an app, and
Oh,
I was starting.
nice.
Yeah, I might pay for it. They have Snoop Dogg. But anyways, I was starting to get hints of either like Greek or Roman mythology. Just like little hints of it. I don't know, maybe it's just because you use Titans and I was like, okay, I kind of sense a little bit here, especially with the Titans vanishing, the Titans popping back up, and I was wondering, am I even slightly right? And by your expression, I don't think so.
No, you're close, right? So that's the wonderful thing about being a nerd who studied anthropology and then linguistics and being a professional linguist, is you learn to go beyond like base base things. And so yes, like the Genadzi are from Arabic mythology,
Hmm.
and I pulled that in there, and then the Titans and a few other things are a they're designed after like Proto-Indo-European
Hmm.
mythology, and some of the creation and how things give out. I wanted to pull that in and say, okay, well, what if that was spaceships, and what if that was very powerful sorcerers who were doing these things, and that's and let that bleed down. So there's not really there's not really a mythology to the setting at all. There's nothing. There's one arcane background that is considered miracles.
Yeah.
Um, and they're sort of weird. Rich was the one who he was like, oh my god, I love this, because they're the Hierophants. And like people ask him, like, just think about what a space druid would be like, who worships the stars as living creatures, and go from there. That's a good start. But yeah, you're not wrong, right? So yeah, I take a very 100,000 foot view when I do world building and design, and so yeah, you're not wrong. I'm glad you can feel the mythology in there, because yeah, it's being pulled and strengthened in little strands here and there, but
Yeah.
from a very high level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The reason why I was thinking, like, I heard the word Titans and I was kind of listening to all the stuff and I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? It could potentially be almost like a play on that. You mentioned magic. I looking
Mhm.
through it, it's kind of hard to point out one specific one because they're all kind of you. You really changed up magic and you reworked it to your own style, which I think is magic actually has a risk to it. I think that's the best way to kind of put it.
Yeah.
But do you want to highlight one of your magical edges? I'm so curious.
So you talk about the
Yeah,
arcane backgrounds.
the arcane backgrounds. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So what we'll do, I'll name them, and then you or someone in the chat can be like, "Oh, I want to hear this one." So there are the Hierophants, which again are your star druids. There are the sorcerers, but the sorcery arcane background is designed around brutality of magic and the punishment of others, and forcing the summoning allies to do your bidding, kind of thing. And then there are the remnants, which are you're born with an arcane ability, but you best not let anyone know that you have that arcane ability, because you're only it's written in your DNA, unfortunately, because you're somewhere down your line. Your family was part of the old eugenics experiments that were conducted at one time and then banned. And then there are the tech mages, which are, if you think like like a space artificer or a space tinkerer, that's them, but they're very much around creating the tech. Without that arcane background, you don't have any of the tech in the setting. Sorcerers can't do it. And then you have the last one is the weirdest one, because it's the Hexaficer, but they're the one arcane background. They don't actually have powers. They have a minor amount of power points, but what they do is they are the ones who build all of the tech that isn't weaponry or protection or starships, gates, things like that. So the Hexaficers, because everything in the world is designed so, like the cup of water I'm drinking, a tech mage doesn't make this. A tech mage might compile it, which is their compilers are like a 3D printer that blends in elemental magic and then a special material, like an ore. And so they print all this shit into stuff, and then they have to expend energy to do it. But at the end of the day, you just have a drinking glass that has this slight aura to it, but a Hexafister can imbue it either with like, hey, the glass of water always stays clean, right? Because that would be important in society, right? Because you're not going to change the vanity of peoples. But the Hexafishes also have access to an ability called Mosaic, and they can create mosaic like powers of a device. So this glass of water is now, you paid me, so I don't know, say 500 credit, and the glass of water refills on command.
Oh.
Right. So that's how the Hexafisher works. So you're not out there casting spells, but you are out there doing interesting things and being able to, and they can create devices on the fly as well that do these mosaic functions. And the mosaic functions are very minor, but if you play it right, like they can create a communicate device. So you could literally create a device that one-time use and sends 5 words anywhere in the known galaxy.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of what's that one cult in Mage the Ascension? The ones that are all about
technocracy or
technocracy. That's it.
Yeah, the technocracy.
It reminds me of that, but almost a more not so evil.
Yeah, they're not. None of it is really evil. Even the sorcerers, I said, the sorcerer magic is just real powerful. And that's where you get your raw spells from. Where everyone else has this very limited scope set.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the tech mages. I mean, they are. Everyone is what they are. There's no alignment in Savage Worlds. So how you play it is how you play it. But yeah, their intent is just, we make civilization better because, between us and the sorcerers that sometimes have the access to the powers that we don't have, and that's where you really see the blending of the system, because a tech mage can't create something that they don't have access to a power, because everything requires certain powers. And so that's where they might need a sorcerer, and that's why I created the in the Empire you have the sodalities, and the sodalities are like a guild system, and they control. Hey, you're gonna work together. Well, we're not going to work together. Okay, well, one of the 13 houses of the Revenants is going to come down on you, and they're going to come down hard, and they're going to send a battalion of Lost on you, and it's not going to be pleasant. So you can either work together, or we can eradicate the entire area that you actually work in. Because the Revenants just don't play games. They don't have time for this. They have an empire to run that spans 37 sectors and innumerable systems that are in those sectors,
So I'm kind of getting. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say. So, I mean, you asked about the arcane background. Is there one of those you'd like me to expand upon, or is that good enough? Of just like, here's the differences in all of them.
Honestly, I think your explanation was actually really, really well done. Okay. And it's kind of hard to think if one of the viewers, Rich or Truggy, if you want to hear any of them, let me know. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Whatever.
No. Like it's really cool. But it sounds like you almost have the universe that you created, you could tell it's a very imperfect universe, and there's almost like some seeds of resistance or rebellion or authoritarianism that are kind of built into it. Was that like one of your intentions when you first started designing the setting, or did it kind of just come as you were going?
Yeah, I wanted to do the setting to where I wanted to be able to let people play however they wanted, because I don't want to just lock you into Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always knew there'd have to be these weird moments that would people look at and be like, "Oh man, this is kind of brutal," but here's do we want to fight against it? And the uplifted species is fairly unique. I've never seen it done that way in Savage Worlds at all. I've never seen it done that way in a lot of games. So for people listening, the Uplifted is a species that they were genetically created by the Titans in the ancient days, and they served the Titans as thralls. And then the Titans also had summoned the Genadzi to be super soldiers. And so you have the Titans on top, believing they're living gods. You had the Genadzi as these super soldiers who are able to wield magic at a moment's notice. And then you have the humans around them as like your chattel, and just like, hey, we're going with the land. And then they had to create these Uplifted, which were the hardcore toilers. And, then there was the Uplifted Revolt, and with the Revenants coming in and creating it, there was there's that moment. And so the Uplifted, when you make an Uplifted, you get choices. I don't like your uplifted has a natural weapon, but you get to choose one of the natural weapons, and there's all these little categories of things, and you choose hindrances, and you choose strengths, and you choose genetic disciplines, and as you're making your uplifted, no uplifted will look the same in the game, so you can have a whole party of uplifted, and none of them will be similar designed unless they all chose to do that. And I wanted to create that randomness of like, here's this thrall species that were able to rise up, and now they're still considered non-citizens, but now you've got this opportunity for rebellion. And then with the galaxy being imperfect, because in this book, and you saw, I'm only detailing the primary worlds of each of the major groups, and that's not even detail, because I don't believe in telling you, well, this world has to be this way. I want to give people enough information to say, well, here's the system, here's how it plays out, here's who runs the system, here's where here's where the main world is. Go for it, and here's the seeds of rebellion that are sprinkled throughout this galaxy. And because time isn't, you can't predict travel time, now you have a bigger problem on your hands, and that creates a lot of fun for people, because now there's another way to play the game as couriers, but you still have to deal with, if we want to go to a war, I don't know when my battle fleet shows up precisely. There's just no way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
So, one thing I've noticed, and this is kind of a theme throughout a lot of your games, is you tend to have a focus on a mechanic that you either think you can do better, or a mechanic that you want to put a little bit more, what's the best way to put it? Make sure it's a little bit more front and focus. And when I say that with Task Force Raven, you wanted to put encumbrance as something that was actually important, and instead of something that was just put to the side. So, just from my own past experience with your games, what did you kind of do to highlight maybe a forgotten system in your current game?
Ooh, so Black Sun Dawning has an interesting problem. Well, it's interesting to me, but I said all the tech has an arcane background to it, right? So there are also, that means a dispel power, or grenades that are tech grenades with dispel power built in will turn off your stuff. They are not immune to dispel. And so that creates a problem. The Shadakar is a race, or the Shadakar is one of the species you play, but they're not of this plane. And so a banish power works on a Shadakar. And so that's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to make this ubiquitous galaxy with magic all throughout it, but with everyone understanding like the unpredictability of magic, like with travel, with how things are made. Just because you design a new blaster pistol and produce it, there's no guarantee that it's going to come out normal. And that's that a tech mage still has to make some skill rolls on that. And then being able to have someone be like, we're in a major battle, but there's a sorcerer on the battlefield. Okay, well, a sorcerer can cast bolt. No. The sorcerer can cast dispel. And now we're shutting down your power armor, because your power armor is magic. We're shutting down your guns.
Oh.
Right? We're turning off your starship's life support system. Yeah, and so that's the one thing I wanted to home in on, is like, I want magic to be terrifyingly ubiquitous, if that makes any sense.
And I think you kind of solved a problem with a lot of other sci-fi, even cyberpunk games. You kind of almost made hacking super freaking cool and smooth.
I'm glad you liked that section.
Yeah,
that was a redo, and I was like, because you saw how the I don't even know how to start this. So hacking, there's a computer network, right? And it's the data fortresses control the computers, but it's of course magic. So, but those data fortresses are protected by an archivist AI. But you know that it's because it's Black Sun Dawning. When I say AI, I don't mean an artificial thing.
Yeah.
This is the intellect ripped from another living creature that is now imprisoned in these data fortresses, and it is compelled to protect what's in there. And so when you're going against this, you're going against a creature that is just filled with hatred for your intrusion, because it has no choice. And the same thing is for the starships, because they're called vassals. The vassals are living, sort of, But like to make the vassal obedient and to do what you wanted to do, the tech mages build it, but the sorcerers are the ones they rip out the soul and the
Yeah.
intellect, and so that's how you get your consular. And your consular serves as a basically a hologram that is also alive and is a part of the ship, but can never reconnect to it. But they can serve as your AI for running sensor systems, and they can travel with you on the ship. But then the archivist goes into the ship's library to act as an archivist would to protect the ship's data from everyone else. But these parts of this vassal has now been split off, and they're living in an eternal state of torture, essentially, at the hands of magic. And that's why that I'm glad that I hope that came across with the hacking of like, it's kind of a weird when you're reading the archivist, but yeah, I wanted the hacking to feel like, oh damn, like this could be bad, real bad.
Oh yeah. It came about, and there I find there's also another theme that's kind of almost it's sprinkled throughout, but it's not in a way that is ham-fisted or um insults the I guess modern day, like our present day kind of stuff, issues. And you handled slavery in a method that I don't think takes away from the cruelty of slavery in our modern world. Were you trying to, when you were designing this, were you trying to figure out a way to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this, just because it is a very sensitive topic. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
were you
sure.
trying to figure out how to almost pay tribute to the cruelties of slavery without making it seem just like a gimmick?
Yeah, I kind of follow you. Yeah, so I like to. Some things are real difficult conversations, and not wanting to have it doesn't mean it doesn't has never happened, or it doesn't go away, or it doesn't still
Mm-hmm.
happen. And it's not like it's like, oh, I need you to read about this, but I wanted there to be, hey, this is a thing that happened, and here are the end results of it, and the some of the ongoing issues that can happen depending on where you are. Um, but it's not like I don't think it's ever, like you said, it's not really ham-fisted, or it's not beating you over the head. But and it's not just the thraldom of the uplifted, because I wanted them to be like, hey, look, here's this entire species that are still struggling against
Yeah.
just being different and noticeably different, right? Because that visibility is never going to go away from an uplifted uh the an uplifted creature is never going to do it. And then you start pulling those strings and you start doing things like, well, there's different types of humans. Okay, but some humans are more equal than other humans in the Black Sun Dawn, right? Because there's essentially four, but the Revenants are above everyone. So even if you're a Revenant player character and you're just a piece of shit thief, you still are a Revenant, and you're still recognized as a Revenant,
Yeah.
and that carries consequences, because sometimes a class that you come from, and talk about like economic class, can be more important in a setting, especially science fiction. You start blending this, and then you look at the Titans. They ruled the known universe at one time as living gods in their mind, because they are the source of sorcery as far as they're concerned. And now they are fallen on destitute times. Their great lodges are spread across their initial seed worlds, and no one gives a damn. They're just seen as these big brute creatures, and it's just like, okay, bro, you had three
Yeah.
thousand years. You didn't do anything with it. You know, you,
Yeah.
you were slow. And then the car, they just feel weird because it's like, you don't really belong. You just something about you. You don't belong on this plane of existence. Why are you so odd? And then yeah, and then the themes of letting your environment physically and mechanically can affect you in the game terms, and then and letting that be an expression of role playing, of like, if you're playing a null G human, you don't want to go to a world that has normal gravity or even heavy gravity. It's going to crush you, and
Yeah.
you're going to be in pain, right? And then the same thing for heavy G humans. They don't want to be anywhere off that, and so I wanted to give everyone enough of those little real world issues, and then blend them into a way of like, hey, here's maybe a nicer way of kind of role playing through this and having conversations without getting weird about it, or getting panicky about it, or getting
Mhm.
mad about it. It's just like I said, the living creatures are, especially sentient creatures, are horrific to one another.
Yeah.
and So in gaming, it really helps to have those kind of conflict resolution abilities, I
Yeah.
would say, for folks. So
No, that's it. It's honestly, it is a very, very hard topic to tackle, and I think you did it in a way that doesn't insult. I think that's the best word to use.
that's cool. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Like I think the uplifted are cool as shit, man. When I was
Oh
going through
yeah.
the uplifted making them, I was like, man, this is endless. Like there's an endless variation of these creatures that are specifically designed for things. I'm like, this is so amazing because you can see like what was this creature designed for? Oh, well, he has this. Okay, awesome. Now I know what this creature's genetic line was designed to do.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I when I was reading through, I kind of stopped on the uplifted too, and I was like, oh yeah, I can imagine myself playing that one. I could definitely
Yeah.
imagine
And like I
myself
said,
playing that one.
I've never seen that kind of character creation done in Savage Worlds before.
Yeah, you've. I feel like you've tackled on this one a lot of different. I don't want to say issues I've had with Savage Worlds, but things I've almost wanted and missed out of Savage Worlds. And I'm not just trying to blow like smoke up your ass. When I was looking through it, like,
No, 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 yeah.
yeah, you know me. Usually when I hear the word fantasy, my eyes kind of just start to glaze over. I'm not a huge fantasy person, so
Yeah.
to be honest, I wasn't really expecting what I actually was reading. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. But
Oh man.
yeah. Yeah, I think
What else you got? What
we
else you got?
actually
What else you
powered
got? What didn't you,
we powered through the
we did?
questions.
What don't you like about the setting? Or what, hit me with something. Because everyone will be like, oh, it's a shill. They're grifting.
No, no, no. If I'm being 100% dead ass honest,
Yes.
what I'm not a huge fan of, and I'm not a huge fan of the name.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it, that's kind of,
I'm
but
tracking.
yeah, that's just kind of my own personal opinion. Besides that,
Yeah.
I only
Yeah.
received it, was it 2 days ago. I wasn't able to go through too much
Yeah.
of it. I was able to glance through most of it. I did
You
really
sure?
like the feel of it, the concept of it. I think you've tackled a lot more when it comes to fantasy combined with sci-fi than I honestly was expecting. Really wish I could say something to not sound like a shill here, but
No, that's fair.
what I was looking at, I really did like. Uh
Nice.
oh yeah,
You're not wrong on the name.
yeah.
I see, Rich. Give me one. You're not wrong on the name. I like the evocative nature of it. Naming shit is real hard, right? It really is. Task Force Raven was easy. Neon Blow is actually took me time to because I'm like, what sounds cool? But this, I was like, yeah, but it still feels like it's the name of a novel instead of a setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tracking. I'm just like, ugh, damn it. But it was the most evocative thing I could get. What does Rich want?
Uh, Rich Finder says, "What part of the setting are you the most proud of?" And to be honest, yeah,
Oh,
that's a hard one because I think you answered it like four different
damn.
times at four different subjects because it sounded like you really were
I
excited. That
know.
was one of my questions. I'm not gonna lie, but I was just like, I think he touched that. Oh,
I
Finder also
Yeah.
likes the name.
Of course, he likes the name. Yeah. You guys get to see a lot of stuff I do in advance, which is what it is, right? Because I trust you guys are very honest. The most proud of, but I do like a lot of the. I'm very clever, and I know it's legally so arrogant. I was like, but I am clever. I'm a clever bitch when
You
it comes
are a
to things
clever
like
bitch.
this. It just is what it is. Most proud of, damn, I don't even know. Like, I think really it's just the overall. I think I got sci-fi fantasy blended to a very good degree where you're in spaceships, but you also know you're still using magic and it's all around you. And I think that's harder to do than I thought it was going to be, actually. Because when it first started, it was not like this. It was like every other nonsensical setting of like, oh, we got spaceships. Oh, and they use a warp drive that just happens to do this, so it's magic. And it was like, no. And then we were testing it, and I think it was Rich or someone asked me a question. Because Rich has played. in a setting early on. And someone asked me a question, and that was about I forgot what it was about. And that really just took me down the road of like, no, 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 no. This has to feel so different. And then hence, like you got all this weird stuff. And there's not even any mundane tech in the game, to be honest. Like, I think even a section there is like, hey, if you see something in this core rule book, awesome, but it's not mundane. It's still made through magical means. You have to understand that. And I'm not talking about your flashlight doesn't cast spells, but your flashlight registers as an arcana device. And if you have a hexafister who enhances it with mosaics, then it might do something neat. It might have the defend mosaic on it, and it might send shocking things to people and things like that. But yeah, man, blending the sci-fi fantasy was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's like it's dumb because it does sound easy, but at the same time, I 100% get what you mean, because it's one of those things like if you look at Star Wars, like most of the shit is just technology, and then there's a little bit of magic sprinkled in. While
Yeah.
yours, it seems like it's a more integrated with everyday life. Truggy Trug has asked you a question. It is, are there any things like Illithids or beholders in the setting pulling strings or running organizations or plots and competing for dominion in the setting? He also said that he's sorry he missed 20 minutes, so he may have missed that.
That's okay. I think the Revenants, which are playable, that was actually one of the questions I got from both playtest groups that are outside my control. They're like, hey, we're just making sure, did you mean for these to be playable? They're not powerful. They just, you realize you're playing a Dhampir or, half vampires, and it's like, I don't understand. So yeah, there are the major Imperial people are the Revenants, but they're not big in number. But they have utter loyalty. They have utter control. They are led by a being that no one's really sure how many beings there are. It might be a council. They call it the Godhead. And so these Revenants, but they are they're brutal, but they're behind a lot because the houses are sort of like Game of Thrones, if you really want to think about it. So they're all plotting against one another. None of them will ever rule the galaxy, but they all need favor. And so I outlined some of the stuff all the way down to a planetary level of just the courtesans. Mm-hmm. Here's how important all of this is. And then, like I said, you've got the Revenant main ships are these like flying towers. Essentially, they're called reliquaries. Is what they refer to their tower ships, and it just hovers over a world, and they will conduct what they call a strike, and they just drop, tech magic, like dispel, like tungsten rods that are enhanced with smite, dispel, blast, burst. Everything you could think of is in this tungsten rod flying through the atmosphere and dropping onto a world and conducting these massive strikes, shutting down technology, shutting down magic, shutting down everything on the world, and then they'll just glass it through witchcraft and then move on. Yeah, I think that's the big one. And go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it's kind of really neat because you've actually made in a lot of games, the big villains, like the villain type styles, you can never play as them, but you've actually made them still playable and almost like they're not like a resistance, but showing that there's always two sides, and just because in general a lot of them are bad and evil doesn't mean that all of them are. But
yeah, and it's up to you if you decide, because they can't be exposed to sunlight. That's a real thing. There's a mechanic in there. When they get exposed to sunlight, there are consequences for that. And so when you're in full ninja running around and people are very aware of what that means, you become a target for kidnapping, assassinations, all sorts of terrible things. Now I will say, for Trog's point, and I know you haven't had the document now. There are whispers that there is a region that is dark space, and this dark space is essentially bleed over from a necrotic plane, and there are beings that dwell inside this necrotic nebula that are pushing themselves out slowly, and they have cults that are dedicated to them, and that want to bring them to the forefront of the galaxy. So there is that. Yeah. We'll leave it there.
That's cool. Finder asks, is there an aspect you put a lot of work into that you feel may be overlooked due to its understated nature? Now, Finder with all the best questions.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
A lot of work maybe overlooked. I wonder if he means like overlooked at how much work went into it,
No,
or
I
yeah, I
think
think that's what
he's
it means, right?
um
I don't know.
yeah, like an aspect that you
I,
put a lot of work into, but you know, just because it's more of like a background mechanic, people may not uh put full appreciation into. I think that's the best way to put it.
I don't. Maybe how tech is made, because it still feels like, oh, so these guys just make magic guns. And I was like, no, it's not magic guns. They don't shoot bolt spells. They shoot, particle accelerated rounds at you, but there's magic to it. And I think that might be like doing that was much more complicated than I thought it was ever going to be. Yeah. Just getting it to feel right and to make it matter, I guess. I don't know. He'll tell us if we didn't answer the question.
He said yes-ish. Unless he was talking to Troggy on that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah.
It's Finder. We don't know what he's thinking half the time.
It is. No, I know. He'll be like, oh, come on, I'm so clear. He is clear. He's clear. I don't know sometimes. My brain doesn't work so good.
No, that's fair.
But there's a bestiary. The bestiary is not going to be huge. But like, I wanted there to be, because there's so many creatures in Savage Worlds, and if you don't draw on every stupid book that you have, you're doing Savage Worlds wrong. But I wanted to have some very specific creatures. I think there's 20 unique ones that I'm throwing in there. I don't know. I don't even know some of the words, like radiation dragons that are born from star flares and things like that.
Yeah.
What was it? Okay, Rich, so we answered it well enough. What would I be in the setting? Oh man, that's a tough one. I think I would probably play either a Revenant sorcerer or like a Genasi kind of war witch. Just because I like the Genasi of, they're sort of elemental based peoples, but they're just a little weird. I don't know. The Shadakar are like a big draw from the other groups that are playing right now. But I don't know.
Yeah, you have. Okay, I got one other complaint, and this is 100% on me. I have trouble pronouncing half of them.
Everyone does. Everyone does. That's the beauty of fantasy and science fiction. Just make things up and like, well, how do you pronounce it? I don't know. How do you pronounce it? It's like, cool. And I thought about that too. And that's like, you look at the Revenant houses are like, the House of Broken Lament. Instead of like, this is House Gryffindor. It's like, no. I'm a Revenant of House Broken Lament. I'm like, well, what the hell does that mean? I'd be like, well, what does it sound like it means? Like, and every house is named this real vile thing where it's like, oh, death metal escaped into your people. What are you doing? The House of Mournful Tears. Like, what? You don't sound like a good people.
Truggy wants to play a space turtle with a flat world dwelling on his back. Is that possible?
You can't play a space turtle, but I mean, I'd kill turtles in a heartbeat.
I think you need some turtles in the game. It's not a good game without turtles.
But to his point, you could play a vassal like size 60 because they're like the size of a Star Destroyer, the Death Star, and so you could literally actually play a vassal and have your consular and your archivist represent the things you can do. Because we didn't talk about this. So starships also have their own abilities. They're not just a dumb ship. So the starships are built. They're born, they're fused, they're made. Their soul and their intellect are ripped out and kind of captured and placed. But they also have ability to have hard points put on them, and part of those hard points are also they are like hex points basically. So your vassal, like Rich and them, they had a a very rich Titan, her shuttle. They found it and they stole it, and her shuttle had a rail gun attached to it, but it also had it had torpedoes, but these torpedoes were just trappings for the bolt power.
Yeah.
And so you can actually apply powers to your vassals, and they're for close-in weapons and close-in combat needs on a vassal. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So you could do the space turtle thing, if you really wanted to. I don't see why not. Shit. Yeah. Any interesting mechanics I had to come up with for the setting? I think it was the most interesting one that I had to come up with was making like I talked about if you don't play Savage Worlds, it might not make sense. But in Savage Worlds, you roll your attack roll. If you roll a success, and if you roll 4 points more, you get a raise, and that raise gives you extra damage. But your dice can explode way past that, so you could roll subsequent raises. And normally in combat in Savage Worlds, extra raises don't do anything anymore. They just one raise and you're good. You have extra damage. But I was like, okay, well, we have all this weird tech that uses for combat, and what would be I wanted to make combat like, oh, this needs to be like chaos and like it's not just about numbers and death. It's about, oh my god, the battlefield is completely different now because our sorcerer just had necromantic aberrant bile erupt from her chest. And so it was like, okay, well, let's make a second raise. So if you roll say it's a 4 and 8 and you roll a 12 or higher on your shooting roll, for instance, or even your stat, your fighting or whatever it is, then that means you have brought into effect one of the elemental effects. And the number on that die, when you roll your bonus damage, is you're going to roll your 2 normal dice, and you're going to roll an extra d6 for damage. And the number you roll on that extra bonus die, that's on a chart and determines what you bring about, what you summon with your attack. And it's always random. And if you ace that, you roll again. You roll until you stop on a number 1 through 5, and then it has like this does this. So like the Shroud Lightning, it summons them. Essentially, you're talking about the Twilight Realm and the Prime Material plane come into confluence for a brief moment, and the shroud that covers the Twilight Realm erupts onto the target, and now they're stunned and distracted until they're into their next turn. Things like that. And it changes the flow of battle so much because, again, it's so unpredictable. And I think that's a cool mechanic because it was like, it feels and it plays so neat. Fucking Rich.
I know, right? So, who is your favorite playtester?
I don't know. I know. Watch him in chat. I know there is the very clever player we had. He made a summoner focused character he had this golem. I'm waiting for Rich to type now. That was probably the best best playtester we've had.
I like how we're both just sitting there waiting because we both know the topic.
Rich has left the chat.
Probably. Oh, probably.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I don't know. I just beefed up some smaller mechanics, but that making the combat magical and random really paved the way. And then kind of getting rid of the idea of EMPs. I was like, I don't need EMPs. I need grenades and so grenades that do dispel or dispel power mattering on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Where I got to get rid of we got to get rid of the sorcerer right now. And then the Hierophants also have they do things a little bit different. But at first people thought they were too powerful, but I'm like, well, when someone finds out your ass is a Hierophant, you're put to death. So yeah, there are no courts. There's nothing. If your ass walks through a metal detector to spaceport, metal detector, and that detect arcana goes off because that's how ubiquitous magic is. They're obviously going to be scanning for everything you have on you.
Yeah.
And it goes off and it's like, oh, the identify portion of this says you cast divine magic. Well, no one casts divine magic because that's heresy. Yeah, the null magic grenade is real. The grenades, when you buy them, you pick there's like 4 or 5 different grenade types you can purchase. but you can pay extra to have extra types put into the grenades, so you can actually switch through like a frag grenade, a thermal grenade, a screen grenade for covering yourself. Like it's like a smoke grenade, magical EMP. You can just keep adding those. The more you're willing to pay, and it's not cheap, but if you're willing to do it, yeah, you can just have your grenades like, nope, I need a dispel grenade. Out it goes. I know Rich wants to play Hierophant because
Yeah,
he
I
was
could see.
overjoyed when he read that. Yeah, Rich would be a good Hierophant actually.
He always
Yeah.
plays the magic user though.
Yeah, but the Hierophants are pretty cool. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, no, they are definitely cool. But
Yeah,
I
they're pretty dope.
yeah, I couldn't see it any other way. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I think if we don't have any more questions, we may be coming to an end, unless you got some shit talking.
No, 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 no. Can't think of anything else. I don't know. I'm super cool to see the Kickstarter doing so well, and then like a lot of repeat offenders from Raven and
Oh,
from
yeah.
Neon Blood. You know, like one of the folks who backed it at the highest level, which is me, gonna have to run a mini campaign for them. I've did that with Neon Blood, and like the entire gang is super excited. They're just like, wait, what?
Nice.
And they've all backed the game and stuff. So yeah, it's always nice to see like that level of like support.
Nice. Is it weird having almost like a little fan base? Because I remember talking with you, you even said that you went into a game store and you had people playing Task Force Raven.
So that wasn't me. That was a buddy of mine. They were playing Neon Blood, and he was like, "What the hell?" And then I have seen people a lot of people are playing. Well, a lot. Okay, 5 people are playing Task Force Raven, but they talk about it, and it's interesting to see, like in the Savage Worlds official channels, like, "Hey, we're running Task Force Raven right now, and here's what we're doing." It's just like, holy crap, man! I made that. That's like I made it, and it's at least it's popular with 3 people. That's amazing. It is a good feeling though. But and then no, it's one of those very cool surreal moments of like, oh man, my ideas aren't totally stupid, and there are other people who at least like what I like. So I also want to play a half vampire space sorcerer.
There's got to be at least one other. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I do have one final question for you, and it's quite traditional. Okay. For anyone who may be listening to this who wants to either try and design their own RPG or wants to try and get into the industry, what would be one bit of advice that you'd give?
Don't give up, but also don't recreate the wheel. That's the big one. Yeah, don't stop doing it, because it's yeah. I know the feeling is like you have to get it out. I talk to my daughter. She's an artist, and she's like, yeah, you have to get this out because it's going to drive you crazy until you do. But when you're doing it, look at the thing that you love and think about what it doesn't do, and then make it do it. But don't just shadow dark it where you're just sexing up, the Black Hack 2 second edition and ICRPG and calling it something new. Like really, really focus on something that makes a difference to the table and go from there, and you'll be fine. People will be attracted to it because, like I said, if I'm thinking about it, other people think about it, and the same thing goes for anyone else. If you're thinking about it, there are other people who are thinking the same thoughts, but they just don't want to do it or can't do it. But yeah, by all means, just get it out there. Get it out. Get it on DriveThruRPG. Don't wait for, like, I don't know. Don't be demotivated. Don't look at the stupid star reviews, because you're gonna have haters who do all that stuff. Who cares about that? Just you can look at the number of times people grab it or what they're discussing it, and then go from there. And then just you can keep going from there. I don't know if that helps or not.
No, it definitely does. It does. I think that's
you can't stop.
I've heard a lot of advice, and that one definitely rings true. One last question from Finder, which I was going to ask you in private. Will you do the 1-on-1 with Santa jingle?
I don't know what that is.
What? At the beginning of
I had to pretend.
Come on, we've been talking for how long now? If I am not going to insult our audience, maybe Rich, but I will not insult the rest of the audience by making them think that we don't know each other. Come on.
Okay, I know. Everyone's like, wait, these guys are on the same podcast together. Correct. Correct. With the Shill Network.
Yes. Chilling away.
Yeah. Wait, what do you want to do for the jingle?
Okay, well, I was going to say that you can send it to me. The jingle is one-on-one with Santa, but for Rich, you have to do it here too.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. 3.
Do it. Countdown.
3, 2, 1. One-on-one with Santa.
No, you're not in this. Why can't we do this on 3?
Okay. 3. You see? Wait. Where's my fingers? There. 3.
Hands in, pitches. On 3 or after 3? I'm quoting Pitch Perfect.
Okay. Okay, let's do it. Let's do this. Okay. 3, 2, 1. One-on-one
with Santa. Come on, you got to do it.
I was trying to, but you're late. I did the 3, 2, 1, but you're late.
There's a delay.
Okay, well then do it the moment I say 1. Okay. So,
okay, 1.
Okay, you do it on 1. I'll do it after I say 1 because I can't do it while I'm saying 1 because that's impossible.
I'm not late then. Go ahead.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. One-on-one with Santa. Oh, if you didn't go so fast, we would have had that perfect. Yeah, but it's still good. Good enough.
Oh my god. Anyway, Rich has a question. His wife still loves TFR. Yeah, that's a surprise. We had TFR is so well done that we had a non-gamer. She continually wants to play a game where she gets to murder monsters and shit with machine guns.
I honestly, when you ran that, I know we're talking about a different game now, but when you ran TFR, we were doing it with Suede after you switched it because originally it was on PBTA. You had it originally, or
it was? Yeah, that was the original. Yeah, Part of the Apocalypse.
And then we did it with the Suede version. And when we were just doing that one session, I was like thinking, I could play more of this too. That one was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, whenever we get a chance, that'd be great. Because pretty soon, my life is changing, and there ain't gonna be a lot of gaming involved.
No,
or a lot of writing.
Hopefully, you'll be able to still come and chat with us.
I hope so. Yeah, it's getting closer. It's getting real. So this might be the last Scott product too for a while. Black Sun Dawning. So, such is life.
Yeah. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this. I had a great time. Thanks for joining us for our very first stream, and hopefully we'll get some more done. I do want to get some. Yeah. Before you leave, we got to play Solastra.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure Troggy was another person who was saying about it. So if we could do a live stream with Finder, because I think he picked it, Troggy, me and you, and I can have it put up.
He did.
So that I'm not gonna put our faces because we're ugly, so it don't really matter. But we'll have the video. We can just be shooting the shit while it's happening. It'll be great. Perfect. Fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There we go. It's done.
All right. Anyways.